Brandon Miller finished with 20 points, 3 assists in 27 minutes of play. It feels like Miller has had a little bit of an uptick in play in the last handful of games. He's coming back from an injury. He's going to deal with that shoulder wrap all year. So it's going to be uncomfortable at times, I'm assuming. His efficiency isn't really where you want it to be on the season, but it feels like he's doing some of the little things that you have to like. I think his passing has really popped recently. He's been tasked with handling the ball a little bit more. He's been tasked with initiating the offense, getting downhill. And I think for the most part, he's been pretty good. His left-handed passing is something that's fun to watch. It doesn't always lead to assists, but it's important because if he doesn't have to gather the ball, he can just, obviously just shuffle the pass real quickly and keep the ball moving. And, sometimes it does lead to assists, but just keeping the ball moving is something that he can do right off of that left-handed dribble. And not perfect, but I thought he had some on-ball moments as a scorer in this game. The one play he had in the second quarter where he was driving, he planted, he spun, he hit that like turnaround jumper. That was nice. He followed that up with a above the break 3-point shot. But I think the one underrated skill that Miller needs to be credited for recently is his block shots. He had one in the first quarter, I believe, where it felt like the Cavs should have had like a fast break opportunity. He gets back into the play. He gets just enough on it. And then in the third quarter, he has that chase down block on Tyson, which was originally called and I think a foul, but they reviewed it and was overturned. So Miller, obviously not perfect, but he's making incremental plays recently that I think have been at least noteworthy.
Yeah, I liked his offensive process tonight. Did a good job of when he had Darius Garland on him, not settling for jump shots. He used his frame to, attack Darius Garland in the post or get shots in the restricted area. So yeah, I thought Miller was overall pretty good tonight. You mentioned that about his blocks. I'm trying to pull the stat. Per Clean the Glass, he is in the 99th percentile of wings in block percentage, 1.9%. So not an astronomical number, but for guys that he is, compared against positionally, he is elite at blocking shots per the numbers over here on Cleaning the Glass. So yeah, thought it was overall a good Brandon game. I mean, 20 points on 13 shots. It's probably the most efficient game he's played in a while. Some of the live dribble passing stuff didn't pop for me quite as much tonight. Let's throw back a question to you. Outside of help defense, Brian and I talked last week about Brandon, digging on drives and getting deflections and blocking shots. How have you felt about the experience of Brandon as an on-ball defender tonight? I didn't clock too much of it, save for a couple of possessions where I feel like he really struggled containing Darius Garland. So I'm got a secondary question to that. So two questions. How have you felt about Brandon's on-ball defense? And when it is good, what type of player do you feel like Brandon Miller should be guarding? Because I don't think the like smaller jitterbug Darius Garland, Jalen Brunson type point guards are going to be his strong suit to guard on the defensive end.
Well, I'll first say this, that I think he is having to be the point of attack defender
Hmm.
by default,
Yep.
just based off of the starting lineup. I think his length at least helps him bother like shots and contest and things of that nature. I think if Sion's not out there or if Josh Green is not out there, he is the one guy that I would most trust to be the point of attack defender. I don't know if I can speak like totally to this game. I have to go back and watch to see
Hmm.
how he played at the point of attack. But I will say that the type of player that he might be best suited, it's interesting because I don't think he's as physical as you want him to be. He's a little bit thin, but by the same breath, like you just said, he might not be as good on these guys that are quick side to side. I don't know. I don't know what the ideal type. I think the ideal type is to have him not be the point of attack defender,
Yeah.
but I do think the weak side blocks and just being an effort player with his contest is what you're going to see the most from in terms of his overall impact on the defensive side of the court. So I think his length will play an impact, but I don't know where like the ideal player is. I think it's mostly because the Hornets don't have anyone in the starting lineup that can play that role.
Yeah, I mean, I'd fully agree with you.